G'day there guys, Markee here, back again with another bloody good episode of r/Entitled People. Now if you think this is a bloody good subreddit, I want you to bloody sit back, relax, and enjoy a bloody good prawn on the Barbie, and the stories I guess. Posted by user DarkSoul89, titled, Entitled Woman Demands to Touch My Bump. I'm almost 5 months pregnant, and since my normal clothes were starting to get a bit tight, my boyfriend surprised me with a few newer items, including a top that says, if you didn't put it in there, don't touch it. I found it hilarious and very appropriate, as we had been talking many times about how annoying are people that just touch your belly when you're pregnant. So, happy as Larry with my new top highlighting my blossoming bump, we headed to the supermarket for our new weekly shop. While there, we got separated briefly, and as luck goes, that's when this woman approached me. She says, "Excuse me?" "Yes, that top you're wearing is very rude and offensive." "Excuse me? How do you think it feels for people who are struggling to conceive? It's only fair that you let them touch your belly to share for a moment what you're feeling. You're very selfish and clearly don't deserve this blessing." I was left speechless. I'm usually hard to intimidate, but ever since I got pregnant, I found myself very prone to tears in confrontational situations. Also, my partner and I have been trying to conceive for 1.5 years before being successful. I remember vividly the pain of seeing other people around me having babies, the heartache every month, and the idea that I could be the source of someone else's pain hurt me deeply. Luckily, my knight in shining armor made his appearance. My boyfriend is a very big, bearded and tattooed guy, so some people can find him intimidating, if not scary. He is the sweetest man, but he's very protective of me, especially now, so he easily loses his temper when it comes to it. He says, "What's going on? Everything alright, darling?" I had tears in my eyes at this point. "Well, your girlfriend's top is very rude and offensive to people who can't have babies. She should share her miracle and let people touch her belly. You clearly don't deserve it. First of all, you don't know us, and how much we've struggled for this baby. Second of all, we're in the middle of an effing pandemic, so you should keep your distance no matter what. And finally, if you feel entitled to anyone's personal space and body, no matter the reason, you can F right off. Now stop harassing my girlfriend before I call security." She looked at him for a second like she was going to reply, then thought better and left. The end. Our next story is by user Ali Vega, titled, Ex-boyfriend got angry when I cut my hair. Don't know if this is entitlement, but reading stories about people getting bashed for changing their hairstyles made me remember this. I had a boyfriend when I was 17 or 18 who I met on MySpace when that was still a thing. So this was a while ago. He told me many times he liked girls with long hair, and it was one of the things he liked about me. I imagine a lot of you ladies are rolling your eyes into the orbit of the planet right now. I was always the type of person who couldn't decide if I wanted my hair long or short. Eventually, I just cut my hair in the summertime because Florida is hot, and I would feel cooler with shorter hair. So, while we were dating, a particularly hot summer came around, and I decided to cut my hair. It was the year I decided to try an inverted bob. When I told him about it, he was ticked. He scolded me, reminding me how he didn't like girls with short hair, etc. He didn't talk to me for days after. All I could think is it was a stupid reason to be angry, and it's my head, I can do what I want with it. We broke up about a half a year later. He actually demanded back all the gifts he had gotten for me. He didn't get them back. Edit, just want to say that he wasn't a bad guy or bad boyfriend. He did get over the haircut eventually. He was angry about the breakup, and that's why he demanded gifts back. But he's not a bad guy. Posted by user RavenWolfPS2, titled, New Employee Steals Food from Disabled Girl. We have a female client at our day center who, unlike the other members, gets her breakfast prepared for her at the center as well as her packed lunch. She always has supplies, such as tortillas, eggs, cheese, and meat, sitting in the bottom drawer of the fridge to be used daily for her breakfast. The provider who works with her that day will cook up a breakfast burrito for her, and all of the materials are clearly labeled in thick black Sharpie with her name. Since different suppliers empty at different rates, and it's difficult to constantly keep inventory of everything that needs to be replaced, the supervisor will often purchase supplies to replenish the ones that have emptied the morning of, and bills the client's mother for them later using receipts. The supervisor also keeps certain things in the office stocked for general use, such as coffee, creamer, and condiments. We'd recently hired a new employee to the center who was experienced, and worked really well with this particular female client. Typically, the supervisor will schedule meetings in a way where they will have a variety of staff members working with them so they don't get too stuck on one particular person and refuse to work with anyone else. After a while, the new employee started asking to work with this female client fairly consistently, and my supervisor had no problem allowing her to do so since they seemed to get along so well, and the new employee didn't work every day. After several months, there was suddenly an increase in how often the supervisor had to go replenish items from this client's stock, and she found it odd that said client was suddenly going through the same amount of food at a much faster pace than before. All of the staff claimed they had seen her eating the same food portions every day for breakfast. Providers started keeping an eye out to see where the food was mysteriously disappearing to. After some investigation, it was discovered that the new employee had been making her own meals from the food provided for this client. Her excuse? She had two. One, she said she didn't have a lot of money and couldn't afford to pay for her own lunch every day, and two, she said that since the supervisor was paying for the food, then it was fine for her to take it. She argued that since the client's mom wasn't directly paying for the food, it didn't belong to her clients, but rather to the center instead, and staff should be allowed to eat it for that reason. She got a write-up and a swift reprimand from the manager, and so far we know she hasn't been stealing the food that belongs to the clients anymore. However, we do have another part-time employee who brings in freezer lunches every now and then, and keeps them in the staff freezer to eat for the day that she will be at the center. It has happened numerous times that these frozen lunches disappear and the part-time employee ends up going hungry because that's all they prepared to eat that day, and they can't afford to get anything else. I've spoken to the troublesome employee since the earlier debacle, and she's still under the belief that the other people owe her food just because she cannot afford to pay for it herself. I constantly see her trying to mooch off of other staff, and even several disabled members who are more cognitive but still lack the wherewithal to say no to her when she asks for part of their lunch. I can't help but think she's the one stealing the frozen lunches from our coworker. What a sack of trash. Posted by user Doctor Who All the Way. Titled, Lady on the bus tried to call the police after she smashed her head on ticket validator. Now, I am riding the bus to everywhere since junior high school. It's a place, moving one, full of entitled people. Get it? Because the bus moving, it's a place. It was a warm summer day, and I was going to the swimming pool. I take a seat next to the window, and next to me sits a lady with a ton of makeup on her face, which is important later. Her seat is right in front of the pole with the ticket validator on it. The ride was peaceful until the bus was close to the pedestrian crossing. Some kid ran across the pedestrian crossing, and the bus driver needed to make a sharp stop to avoid hitting him. I grabbed the handrail in front of me, so I am okay, but the lady makes full face contact with the ticket validator. I say, "Are you okay? Why did you not hold me?" I was so surprised. How can I hold her when the stop was a surprise? She started to threaten me with the police and arrest me for not helping her, and I look at the ticket validator. Then I started to laugh. Lady made an imprint on it with her makeup. She literally made her own Turin shroud. Lady moved to threaten driver for trying to kill her. He just points at a scared kid on the sidewalk and says, "He or you?" Lady storms out of the bus and I'm still giggling at the imprint. Posted by user BobbyVon23. Titled, Lady ditches cart in line and gets mad at employee when she lets my family go. This is going to be a short story. So, I constantly travel to Kentucky with my family to see my grandparents. Since it's a long ride from New Jersey, we have to take stops at places to use the restroom and get snacks. One time we're at a store, and we just had sushi to check out, and a lady had a giant cart filled to the brim with random things. She was next in the checkout line, and when she just left her cart, I saw her grab another cart and grab more things. When the cashier started checking out our stuff, she came back and started going ballistic. She was screaming that she was next and that she deserved to go. The cashier was trying to say to her that we had less stuff and she had left her place in line. The lady screamed the famous line, "Let me see your manager." The cashier sighed and got her manager. The lady was telling the manager how rude the cashier was for not saving her spot and that she should be fired. She read the manager's name tag and started calling her by name, like they were friends. The manager said that she shouldn't have left her cart and that we could have been done by now if she didn't say anything. After hearing that, she just went behind us and let us check out. I could hear her say things under her breath about how she was never shopping here again, and that's the end of our story. Our next story is by user TPABARayRays, titled, "Entitled Student Tries to Get a Professor Fired Because She Failed His Community College Class." So, a couple years ago, I was taking dual enrollment classes at a community college. My first semester, I took this American government class. I needed it for the high school credit. My professor had the class formatted so the only graded work were 3 tests, each worth a third of the grade, and cover everything from the previous tests until the class before. These tests are divided into 3 parts. The first part was 50 multiple choice questions, filled out on a Scantron. The second part was 30 short answer questions. The third part was 20 hardest short answer questions, but they were for extra credit, so they didn't count against you if you got them wrong or didn't answer. He also offered plenty of extra credit opportunities, like an easy one, prove that you're registered to vote. He gave an alternative if you couldn't legally register. So I got a very easy A in that class, and I'm ready to move on to the next semester after my first semester of college classes complete. I got an A in the other college class, the rest were high school level taken elsewhere. I rather enjoyed the class. Even though I didn't agree with his politics, it was an interesting subject. He wasn't dry with it, and he taught from a somewhat politically neutral point of view, or at least stated both sides. 2 weeks after grades were posted, I get an email from a classmate. I hadn't talked to a soul in that class, besides friendly small talk. It apparently was sent to the whole class. How she got my email, I don't know. She said that he should not teach any more classes because his teaching methods were outdated and his grading was unfair. She also said that numerous people failed his class. She attached a petition that she was going to send to the school office. I don't know which department would be in charge of that, and also asked for people to visit the office to complain and give him a bad review on Rate My Professor. I was not amused, and assumed that this was one of the people who was skipping class or slacking off in the back row. The class made it plenty easy to get an A, and much easier to pass. His teaching methods were fine in my opinion, and I didn't think there was anything he could have done to make it easier to learn. I wrote a lengthy and detailed reply that I may have perhaps hit reply all on, explaining why I will not be participating. I also made sure to give him 5 out of 5, or whatever the top is, on Rate My Professor to try to counter all the bullcrap reviews that were getting ready to come in. I also sent him an email warning him what was going on, which he thanked me for. Edit typo. Edit 2. Thanks for the Yikes Award, Anonymous Redditor. It's my first ever Reddit award. I can't believe how much feedback I've gotten in such a short amount of time. Thank you everyone. So many of you are asking what happens next. I decided to take a look and find out what happened. He actually is still teaching as if nothing happened. I assume nothing came of the petition, so either they didn't get enough signatures, or the dean, or whoever is in charge, knew that it was bullcrap. However, I looked at his Rate My Professor profile. He has a 3 out of 5 with 111 reviews, and 10% would take again. I looked through, and sadly most of the negative reviews were from that semester. There were a couple from this last semester because he apparently was having a bit of difficulty switching the class online, and so the class before a test, which is normally a review, was cancelled, and he still gave the test as scheduled, just online. There's really not much more I can find out because I'm no longer at this community college. I graduated from high school a year ago and went to a 4-year public university. I need to mention that the classes at the 4-year school are much harder than the ones at the community college. If given the chance, I highly recommend dual enrollment. It got some gen eds out of the way. I got high school credits, and I got all as so it boosted my college GPA. Thanks again for reading. Posted by user Enraged Erin. Titled, Bride Refuses to Let Me Leave a Tiny Horse Stall. I know this title is confusing as it is, so allow me to explain this a bit. I was asked by my stepsister to DJ at her wedding, which was located in a barn, yeehaw. The day prior to the wedding, we had spent the entire day decorating the hell out of this barn to her specifications, and I had spent the better part of 3 hours of that day trying to troubleshoot the problems with the speaker set and why the provided phone and playlist wasn't working with the adapter. After finally getting the phone to be compatible, I began testing audio and seeing just how loud the volume had to be to reach the entire barn. This speaker could reach up to volumes of 100, with 25 being loud, but bearable to hear. But I had to pump this speaker up to 87 to be heard across the entire barn. Before leaving for that day, I asked the bride to email me the playlist or give her phone to someone who will arrive at the barn before her so I can hook up the music. The day of the wedding, I arrived 30 minutes early as discussed, and she did not leave her phone with anyone, or neither did she email me the music. I approached her auntie, who was in charge of keeping things together, and asked what to do. She told me to just sit in the stall and wait for the bride to arrive with the playlist. I should mention now that I was wearing a gothic-style dress, and it was a really humid day, per the bride's request. She wanted me to wear dark colors so as not to draw any attention to me or the booth. I didn't contest this, so I began configuring the speakers to be ready to play the music once she arrived and handed me the phone. As soon as she entered the barn, she lit into me. Why isn't the music playing? I never got the music as a CD or as an email playlist to bring on my phone? Whatever. And she hands me the phone. Just get the music playing and start the Here Comes the Bride music at exactly 4:30. Not a problem. I get the music hooked up and playing the regular playlist for the guests and step out of the stall to get some fresh air. That stall was getting really stuffy, and the reverb in that stall was making my head pound just the first 2 minutes in. As soon as she saw me step out, she made a gesture to her aunt, and her aunt pointed at me. Get back in the booth. Huh? The music is set to loop. I don't need to be in there until 4:30. It's only 4:17. Bride wants you to stay in the booth. Stay in the booth. Okay. I didn't want to start a fight, but I was already feeling like I was being wronged by being forced to stay in a horse stall with the reverb making my head rattle. Not wanting to confront them, I conceded and went back into the booth. If you can imagine being stuck beside a loudspeaker in a movie theater for an extended period of time, that is how bad it was for just 2 minutes. Now, imagine that for roughly another 15 minutes as I was waiting for the cue to start the Here Comes the Bride song that she renamed on her phone. At 4:30, I start the song, and she starts walking down the aisle. Once I start tuning it down for them to start the ceremony, I step out of the stall and watch the ceremony, only to be shoved back into the booth by the aunt and told quite sternly not to leave the stall. So, I sit there, unable to time when to play the Walking Away song until the aunt starts flailing her limbs, which I took as a signal. Once the newlyweds have left the aisle, I shift the playlist back to the waiting list and move to step out, only to be shoved back in again, this time by the bride. She says, "Are you trying to ruin my wedding?" No, I just can't be expected to stay in this booth the entire time. It's my wedding. If I tell you to stay in here, you are staying in here. Look, I don't want to be rude on your special day, but please remember that I'm doing this for free and as a huge inconvenience to me. I have a term paper due by 2 a.m. At any time, I could leave and have somebody else deal with the technical mess that is this DJ booth that smells like horse crap. The bride stormed off, crying, and tried to tell her father, my stepdad, that I was ruining her wedding. He mostly took it with a grain of salt and just continued to mingle with the rest of the guests. About 2 hours passed by, and my mum entered the booth. She says, "Aren't you going to come out and eat?" I'm not allowed to leave. Bride said so. What? She flagged down my stepdad. You haven't eaten anything, have you? Haven't even been able to use the bathroom. At this point, not only do I have to use the bathroom badly, but I was feeling extremely disoriented from the reverb from the booth for 2 hours, and the heat, as well as not having eaten anything. Stepdad says, "You don't look so good," and Mum says we're going home. Doesn't Bride need OP to run the booth until everyone goes home? I set up the music to dance playlist, and unsteadily stand up. I say it's set to loop. If someone wants to fiddle with this, it's their problem. I feel like I'm going to barf. As we're leaving, the bride starts to berate me for leaving the booth again, when my mum and stepdad look at her for a moment and simply said, "We're going home." On the half-hour car ride back to the house, I had passed out and woke up to my mum gently patting my face to wake me up, and her holding some DQ under my nose. After corralling me into the house, we had to check my blood sugar levels. I had dipped into a low blood sugar level, and for the next 2 days, I was barely able to hear anything with how much my ears were ringing. The bride was also whining those 2 days about how unprofessional it was for me to leave the booth looking the way I did. On a plus note, I did submit that term paper in time. Edit. So, a common question is the sister-in-law and stepsister thing. I kinda have a mixed verbiage due to where I was raised. Hick town, if that makes sense. But she is my stepsister. Hope that clears it up better. Edit 2. It appears that some people don't understand full background on this situation. That is my fault. I live with my mum and stepdad. It was not my speaker setup they provided to me. They kept handing me the wrong cables from God knows where, in that nightmare of a barn, half of which was shorted out or badly frayed, which I refused to use for safety reasons. I'm not a professional DJ at all. I only told them, get me a loudspeaker, a laptop, and the music playlist either on a CD or a phone, and I'll be able to get this working. I jury-rigged that setup. That's why it took so long to hook up. Me not standing up for myself was my mistake back then, but I haven't let that happen again, especially with that entitled ass of a sibling. Even my stepdad is still disgusted with her behavior that day. Our next post is by user BlusZ, titled, "Friend tries to tell me he wants to spend more time with my girlfriend and that I spend too much time with her. This guy has been a problem from the start, but this was when I finally had enough and went off on him. Let me give context first. Before my girlfriend and I were together, we were just friends, and were friends before our friend, we'll call him ED, entitled dude. He instantly disliked her, and we both knew it. She wasn't ready for a relationship at the time, so wanted to just be friends with him. This is where the trouble started. Girlfriend and entitled dude became good friends, but he wanted something more and noticed that me and my girlfriend, again she wasn't my girlfriend at the time, but I want to refer to her as such anyways, were getting closer and would hang out when it was just the two of us. He made comments before and joked that we were close, which I always thought was weird to bring up out of the blue, but always left it alone because I knew he was just jealous and I didn't want to argue with him. During the summer of the following year, me and my girlfriend got even closer, and in a drunken state one night, girlfriend confessed she liked me so much she wanted to be my girlfriend, and I confessed right back because I liked her a lot too. We were both new to dating a person of the same gender, so we kept it a secret until it was clear what we both wanted. It wasn't long before our friend group found out, and this includes entitled dude. He must have gained some real balls to try and talk to me the way he did that night. The night I finally ended our friendship, I might add. He started off joking about my relationship with girlfriend, but got super aggressive super fast, and I had enough and asked if he had a problem with me and to tell me everything he feels about me. This is how it went. Yeah, I have a problem with you, and so does everyone else, meaning people we barely know and don't consider them to be a part of our friend group. You always hang out with girlfriend and she never hangs out with us or me, hardly anymore, and that's just not fair. Excuse me? Me and girlfriend hardly know the people you just listed, and why should I have to share my girlfriend with you? Because she's my friend too, and everyone wants her to hang out with her, and all you do is steal her away. First off, No one that we consider real friends gives a flying crap what me and girlfriend do together and how much time we spend together, so get off your high horse with that BS. Secondly, she's my girlfriend. We love to spend a lot of time together. We really do, lol. And thirdly, never ever talk to me like I owe you something or that she owes you something. All you do when you talk to me is try and start crap with me, and I always let it go and give you more chances that maybe you won't start anything with me. But now I'm at my limit. All you've ever done is choose to be mad at me for idiot reasons. And I don't ever do anything to hurt you. I know why you're doing this, because you are jealous she's with me and not you. Well, guess what? That's because she likes me for me, and I'm not sorry for that. I'm not sorry for being myself around her, and that she wanted to hang out with just me. I didn't steal her away from anyone. She wanted it to just be the two of us. I don't blame her either, because I wanted it to just be the two of us too, because I liked her just as much as she liked me before and after we started dating. I am not sorry for loving her and that she loves me. So you can take your sorry excuses of an argument and get the hell out of my and my girlfriend's life right now, because we don't want you as a friend any longer. I should add that we had this argument and that I yelled that last part while all of us were hanging out with our friends, including in front of my girlfriend. I don't usually allow myself to get that mad, because I don't like people seeing me get mad from past anger issue problems, and especially in front of my girlfriend. He tried saying more to me, but was shut down instantly by my girlfriend, and told him to leave. I've told her before of how he's tried to start arguments with me in the past, and she usually told me to go off on him and to not let him talk to me that way that he always did. Well, now she knew why I never went off on him before. I was on the verge of getting physically violent and having a meltdown. Getting angry only brings me pain because it's been hard for me to control it my whole life. So I was struggling after that whole ordeal. She and all our friends had my back and helped me through my rage and calmed me down. None of us talked to Entitled Dude to this day, and it's been 2 years since I last spoke to him. G'day there guys, Outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, Markee 2. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!